What's good, people, and welcome back to the channel. Now, in today's video, we're going to be touching on some very traumatic, let's say, events and situations. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I was a fan or I listened to this guy's music, because I didn't. But having seen the circumstances surrounding his untimely passing, I can't help but feel a type of way about it. And it's because situations like these really touch home for me. It's similar to why I made the Rich Homie Quan video. And the reason why I say situations like these touch home so much is because I am someone who has been through certain addiction issues. I am someone who has grown up and seen other people go through certain addiction issues, and unfortunately I've lost friends firsthand to addiction issues. It's not always an addiction issue, because sometimes they don't need it constantly to function, so people don't realize that it's an addiction. But the thing is, when you rely on substances to manage situations, because from what it looks like, it's being reported that he was in a very stressful situation all of a sudden, which could have triggered him to take these substances, right? Because that's how a lot of people manage their stress, through substances. Why? Because they want to escape. And unfortunately, escapism doesn't work, and it's often the reason why many people end up in such a deep and sunken hole, which is somewhere I once ended up. Because from the looks of it, Liam was on Snapchat an hour before. Now, yes, these could have been scheduled posts, but supposedly he was on holiday and he was posting regularly, so it looks like that was actually him about an hour ago. And one thing that shows you is life can be taken away like that, and it just makes you think. These sorts of situations really hit home for me, because it generally shakes me when I see these pictures of his room like that. And it's just like, those sorts of situations, I've seen them firsthand, and it's like, it's scary, man. Because a lot of people out there now, like some people online, are making jokes about this situation, and to be honest, that shows where we're at, a state of a society as a whole, how desensitized we are and how attention hungry so many of us are, because people are willing to mock someone who's died in absolutely tragic circumstances. It doesn't seem like this guy was a fuck up or some low life, or he was like just spiraled out of control. It just seems like, from everything I'm reading so far, this guy was doing a lot of charity work. He was not so much in the limelight like that, and he was a father, family man, and there's no mention at the moment of ongoing substance abuse. So it may seem like this guy decided, just like many people do, to get on it. Me personally, I've never done those type of substances, but I know a lot of people do. People can pretend like they don't, but a lot of people do, and it's just a part of society. Can I ever advocate for it? No, because I don't think it serves you any purpose to ever use those types of substances to deal with life. And that's what it seems like happened with him in this case, because from the reports and that, he was moving erratic, he was extremely angry, so something's happened, something's triggered him. Now, whether the situation has happened because he took those substances, or something happened to him, then he took those substances, then things got worse, we don't know. We don't know, and eventually it will probably come out what happened, because he was in a public place. They're gonna go through his phone records to see who he was talking to. Maybe he had an argument with someone. We don't know, but it will all come out, especially given the fact he is a high profile individual. And if anyone knows, if you grew up in the UK, you couldn't help but see this guy's face on TV when you're growing up, because I think he was part of, I would say, the last notable ever boy band. Like, boy bands are a thing of the past now, and I think One Direction were the last super boy band group, pop group in the UK. Like, I don't know anyone who came after that. I never really listened to their music back then, but you couldn't help it because every single girl loved them. Like, and they were on every time when you put on TV. They were there, they were doing something. They had some good songs as well, I can't lie. Like, now, as someone who I'd say is a music connoisseur, and if I go back and listen to their music, I can see why they were so popular. Their music was actually good. Now, some people might say whatever they want to me about that, but it was generally good music. And that's why it appealed to so many people at the time, right? That being the case, all the details about this tragic circumstances are gonna come out. Now, more so why I'm making this video. If you watch this channel, then you know me, and there's always lessons to be learned. One is, look how quick life can change. That picture of him was an hour ago, right? So let that be a lesson to you, to just be grateful for all the time you have. And I say that to myself as well, because currently I'm trying a lot more. Well, I wouldn't even say trying now. I'm actually living in a state of gratitude. And when you live in a state of gratitude, you actually become very free. You stop having this constant need for more, this desire, this craving for more, which then invokes discontent and unfulfillment in your life, right? Which is not a good thing. That's not to say don't be hungry and don't be ambitious. They're two separate things. You can be hungry and ambitious while being grateful and content with your life, in the sense that you're grateful for what you have, instead of ignoring what you have and only looking at what you don't have and keep chasing and pursuing. Because if you keep doing that, you will never be fulfilled. And that's the trap that most people fall down. It's like chasing the carrot on the end of a stick, or chasing an infinite amount of numbers in your bank account. You think you're going to be satisfied, then you reach it and you're not satisfied. Now, back to that picture. That picture shows you how quick life can turn. It can turn like that, for the better or for the worse. And unfortunately, in his case, it's for the worse. So let that be a lesson for anyone out there, to just be grateful for what you have. Because unfortunately now for him, it's over in this realm. And he seemed, from the outside and from everything that I'm looking, he seemed to have been a happy guy. He seemed to have been fulfilled. I don't know. Like I said, I don't really follow him like that, but he seemed to have that through the research that I've done so far. He seemed to be doing a lot of good in his life. And that's why we're gonna go to the next part. And the next part is what we can truly learn. And it's more so how we deal and how we manage our stressful times. Because something triggered him, right? And when you're going through it, like today for example, I had a really stressful day. A lot of things didn't go my way that I wanted today. And there are times where I would have had days like today and I would have chose escapism. And that escapism would have worked temporarily. And then what would have happened afterwards is you deal with the come down, the anxiety, the self-hatred, the self... It's just, this is what I mean, like, those pictures remind me of that. Because when you wake up out of those wrecks that you're in, out of those binges, yeah, because that's what it looked like, what he was on. It looked like he was on a bit of a binge. And that's the thing, when you go on those type of, when you indulge in those types of activities, you run the risk, you're essentially gambling with your life every time you do it. And I'm someone who has gambled with their life a lot. And that's why it just gives me shivers when I see pictures like that. Because I've woken up in rooms and seen things like that. And you get scared. You get anxiety because you can't remember what happened. Like, clearly from this, it doesn't seem like he self-deleted. He looked like he was having a manic episode and he ended up jumping off the balcony. And now he'll never wake up again. And it's truly, truly tragic. And unfortunately, in life, people's tragic moments can be learned from. And I'm sure, given the type of person he seemed to be a very charitable, down to earth, loving guy, he would want people to learn from his situation. And like I said, what you can learn is, if you're ever in a state of distress, if you're ever in a state of feeling like everything's getting too much, I know it's difficult and I know it's hard, but this is why you have to do this, because you will reprogram your thought patterns and how you behave and how you deal with situations. But you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And all those things I just listed, like the distress, the pressure, the anxiety, they are uncomfortable feelings. That's why we choose to escape them. Or the dissatisfaction with your life. Your best to not indulge in these forms of activities when you're in that type of mood, because your subconscious is going to run wild and it's then eventually going to take over, because you have a high chance of blacking out, meaning something else is taking control of you. And whatever it is that has taken control of you is not something nice to deal with, which is what happened to him.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mira, te estoy llamando del Hotel Casa Sur Palermo, que queda en Costa Rica 6032.
¿Entre Arevalo y Kramer?
Bueno, nada, tenemos un huésped que está sobrepasado de droga y está rompiendo toda la habitación. Así que necesitamos que venga alguien.
Entiendo, me dice entonces que es agresivo.
Now, can you imagine the trauma his family is going to go through for the rest of their lives now? And literally, man, it's like these sorts of situations, like a life was snatched away. And unfortunately, whatever did trigger him, he still made that choice to indulge in those activities. Meaning, it is ultimately his behavior and his choices that led him to that situation. It's harsh, but it's true. And that's the thing that we need to all recognize in life. We are truly accountable and responsible for the way we react, and then for the way we react to situations. And a lot of people are in prison because they reacted in self-detrimental ways that led them there. People like Liam, unfortunately, reacted or chose to indulge in something that led him to be in that situation. And I'm not trying to judge him here. I can empathize and sympathize because I've done it myself. And like I said, I've lost people to similar means. So I truly understand it, and it's truly tragic. But for those of us who are still here, this is the video for you. This is the video to wake up, because that can easily be you. It truly can. And this is why when you go through stress, when you go through pain, when you're going like you want to escape your life, just deal with it. Trust me, sit with it. The more you sit with it, the more you get comfortable being in the discomfort. And the way you want to deal with these situations now is you need to think of what is going to give you a positive return on investment. Because the substances, the addictions, the vices, the harmful vices, they don't give you a positive return on investment. They give you a negative return on investment. It's like going to a bank and you say to them, can I have £100? They say, yeah, sure. But you got to pay them back £1,000 by next week. That is the interest rate that you're paying when you decide to indulge in these things. Because it's completely different when you're in this high stress situation, feeling low down, wanting to escape your life, and you indulge and you go into this hole and you binge. Because when you wake up and come back to reality, it's 10 times worse. It's not the same as working a hard job, high intense job, and then you want a break and you go on a nice holiday and you blow off steam. Like, they're very similar. But what's different is the mind state that you're in when you indulge in those activities. Now, again, like I said, I'm not promoting any of that stuff. I will never promote it. because I genuinely believe that it's a negative return on investment. So I can never promote something like that. But I can understand why people do it, right? I can understand. But the best thing, like I said, and the main reason of this video is, if you find yourself in these situations, find a way to manage your stress that gives a positive return on investment. Basically, when you're in those situations, you need to stay in a state of awareness, because once you indulge in those forms of vices and substances, you take yourself out of a state of awareness and your consciousness is gone and something else has taken over you, right? And that something manifests into all sorts of nastiness. And unfortunately, in this case, it led to Liam Payne's death. And one of the biggest ways you can determine how you manage stress and how you deal with your pain and trauma will be depending on your self-image, meaning how you view yourself. So if you view yourself as someone strong, powerful, capable, competent, then when you feel in these low sunken places that we all do at times, it will largely impact on then how long you stay in that sunken place and how you deal with the emotions that you're going through in that sunken place. Most people would choose to take pity on themselves and then essentially indulge in self-destructive habits. Something I was very good at doing was indulging in the self-destructive habits. Why? Because then you don't really have to face reality. And the reason why I would constantly indulge in the self-destructive habits is because my self-image was low. I didn't view myself as someone capable to deal with all of this and come out of it as fast as I could do, because my self-image wasn't high enough. And again, self-image is something I go into a lot, both on this channel when I do reactions and on my personal channel. My personal channel is more in depth and I teach all about self-image, which is a concept that is decades and decades old and was actually formalized by a plastic surgeon turned psychologist, right? And raising my self-image completely turned my life around, and it's completely transformed how I manage and deal with stress. Am I perfect? No. Do I still have bad days? Yes. But what happens when those bad days comes is I deal with them a lot better, and I deal with stress in ways that actually usually gives me a positive return on investment. So for example, today I had a nap. What happens when I wake up from that? At least I feel rested. It's a form of escapism, right? But at least I still keep my awareness. At least I still give myself a chance. Now after that, I decided to go to the gym. Then after that, I'm deciding to make this video for my channel. So I got extra work done, even though I've been through all the things that I've been through today, right? Whereas before, like I said, I would have chose simple, easy escapism. But then tomorrow and the day after, I would have paid the price tenfold, and it would have made the situation worse, right? And that's just something that we can learn from all these types of situations, because does it mean that I'm never gonna go down there again and I might choose a negative form of escapism? No, it doesn't mean that. But it means I have the awareness and ability to fight it, because only by being in a state of awareness can we fight these things. Most people don't even know what self-image is. Most people normalize dealing with high stress situations and negative situations with things like drugs, alcohol. Like, it's the right thing to do because it's so normalized. But then when something tragic happens, those same people judge you. So it doesn't make sense. They look at you like you're a bad person, but they normalized it to you. So do you see? It's like a double-edged sword. But most people aren't in the state of awareness where they realize just how poisonous these things can be, especially like I said, when you do them and indulging them in this negative mindset, because everything in life is energy. If you go into something negative, most likely that's going to amplify and it's going to attract other negative situations. If you want to learn more about personal growth, how to overcome addictions, personal development, the psychology of self-improvement, metaphysics, then be sure to go to subscribe to my personal channel where I go into much more detail about stuff like this. One of the videos in particular is turning your pain into power. Check that out next if you're someone currently going through a rough time or have been through a lot of pain and trauma in your life. On that note, rest in peace, Liam Payne. And remember, man, we all have a choice in life. Elevate or deteriorate. Love.